Yes, next level worthiness. When you let in a lot, and that little voice can say, you've got enough. You got more than most. You're happier than most. Your life is better than most. You don't need more. And who's to say? What is that? That old Puritan ethic? You know, you gotta earn it. You gotta work hard for it. Maybe I'm not suffering enough to have this great a life. Maybe I'm not sweating enough. Maybe I'm not bleeding enough to have this great a life. I saw this squirrel running by breakfast with something in its mouth. It looks like nest materials. And he kind of stops and looks at me. And it kind of made me laugh because I thought, if you ask that squirrel, are you worthy of that? It'd be like, huh? What's that? Worthy, unworthy. Well, busy, gotta go. Got a nest to build. What happened the other day, we had one of those rare rains in our area, and we're all celebrating and loving it, and I look out, right out my back window, again, old master bedroom practically is glass, and there's this hawk sitting on top of a tree not far away. My telephoto got her full screen, and this hawk the rain is blowing this way, and the hawk spreads her wings and she just kind of leans into the wind and is just getting this full body shower in that rain and letting it in. I'm going to just bathe in this. I'm bathing in it. That hawk might have been, she looked rather young. That might have been the first rain she ever saw in our area. If she was a year old, let's say. So beautiful. Obviously, the presence doesn't limit what we can have. And oddly, there are some people who take a lot and don't feel guilty about it at all. They even take stuff that's not theirs and don't feel guilty about it at all. They just let that in too. Okay? And the lightning bolt doesn't come down and strike them and say, don't you have enough already without taking everybody else's? No, that doesn't happen. It's the good people who say, oh, I've got so much. Maybe I shouldn't have that. Or the good people will get that other shoe syndrome. Oh, it's so good. When's the other shoe going to drop? And for 10 years I've been going, there is no other shoe. Unless you create it, you know. The other shoe's going to drop. The other shoe's going to drop. So, for those who are letting in more, just thought I'd point out that there might be a little sneaky story running back there that says, you better quit while you're ahead, you're good. How many more blessings do you want anyway? And I'm not talking about just stuff, I'm talking about that inner abundance, that, you know, that feeling of, wow. All of it, though, you know, all of it. How much can you let in? Are there any glass ceilings, invisible glass ceilings, that you don't notice it because we cleaned our windows the other day and they look so clean. Scott said, I got to be careful I don't walk right through the glass. Our house is mostly made of glass. And so you don't see it there sometimes until you bump into it. So worthiness, we're not just talking about people who are down there on the bottom of the instrument panel when we talk about worthiness. We're not talking about just unworthiness. We're talking about levels of worthiness, levels of allowing. that go on basically forever. Now, here's the whole thing. Whether you're at the bottom of the instrument panel and feeling unworthy, or whether you've been feeling more and more worthy every year, and now you're up here, the whole thing is worthiness is just a story. Unworthiness is just a story. It doesn't exist. Except in human terms. It's a human story. In the universe, in the non-physical, there is no such thing as unworthiness. All those people who take things that aren't theirs, but they feel worthy of it and keep it and keep getting more, they're not judged by the presence. Because the presence is not a judge. That's another human thing. Courts, judges, and juries. It's a whole human system. Best we can do right now. Okay? That's the evolution where it stands right now. That's how things are decided. I remember I had to help my mom. My brother and his wife had gotten into some pretty serious drugs. When they decided to get divorced, she threw this crazy thing in there like she wanted to get the house that belonged to my mom. They were renting it from my mom. So she throws this crazy thing in the divorce thing. And so I'm like, okay, I got to fly to Fort Worth and deal with this. Because my mom was like, ah. I start going through that whole thing. And the key to it ended up being, how can I witness for my mom without going into judgment and feelings that aren't going to feel good about my sister-in-law. And so the willingness was there and the intention was there, and it happened. That throughout this thing, I just felt such compassion for her, that she was in such a state that felt like a good idea to do. That felt like that's what she needed to do to survive. And of course, I mean, there was no legal leg to stand on. That, of course, came out good for my mom. I made my brother pay her back for the court costs, you know. And actually, they awarded her court costs. In the non-physical, there is no court system. There is no judge and jury. There isn't any of that. But we do. We decide, what am I worthy of? Am I good or bad? And you know, there's a purpose for guilt, really short term, that says, you're going in a direction that's not going to be good. That's the purpose of guilt. That's the purpose of that feeling. But it's never supposed to hang there for a lifetime, you know, beating us on the head. Or it's never supposed to limit us that, oh, I did this thing, so I should pay for that forever, life sentence. You know. Or I wasn't good enough, so I should. That just only exists in the human realm. So, just be aware and be willing to witness areas where you might feel unworthy, or be limiting yourself from letting in even more goodness and grace and blessings and love and all the goodies, all the physical things too that you want.